morning, good afternoon and good evening to you. It's been looking at the tube. Hope today up here in Granville's in your world. Hi there! Today's video involves our favourite man, Mr. John Frusciante. Some people have asked, can you get his sound out of the Peavey Bandit and can do a video on it? So yes, here we are today. One thing I need to mention quickly before I go in talking about what the EQ I've got set up and what I've got on the floor is the hardest part of emulating John's sound is the fact you're never hearing one speaker and one amp. This is literally the crux of the John Frusciante tone, is the fact you are never hearing one amplifier and one speaker. You are hearing the major and the Silver Jubilee together, mixed together with between 3 and 4 microphones. During Californication, John would have 2 microphones on the Marshall Major and have 1 on the Silver Jubilee. And then during, by the way, it switched to 4 microphones, 2 on each amp. And then on Stadium Arcadium, he switched to the B cab instead of the angled cab. He went to the bottom cab, and he went back to the 3 microphones, so 1 on the Silver Jubilee and 2 on the Major. So the hardest part to emulate on John's sound is to kind of like get the best of both worlds, so to say, and that is the hardest part, and that is kind of like the crux of getting John's sound. In a perfect world, you would need John's exact setup to get his exact sound. All we can do is kind of approximate, especially if you've only got 1 amplifier and say 1 speaker especially, you can only approximate. So that is kind of like one of the biggest kind of like hardships of getting John's sound, is trying to get that approximation of those 2 amplifiers working together and obviously, you know, the mic up of them. So, let's get out of the way quick. So, let me talk about the Peavey Bandit, Red Stripe 112. I think this is possibly my favourite combo I've ever played through, next to the CR120C. I absolutely adore this thing. I'm using the lead channel only. The clean channel is all the way off. There is nothing on there at all. I'll show you quickly, just so you know I'm not lying. So you can hear, that's the switch over to the lead channel. So, lead channel, I've got the pre-gain at 3, we've got the bass, well, low at 2, mid and high are both off, they're on 0. The post gain, which I'm using as the volume at this point in time, is on 2. These amps are abusively loud if you let them get that way. So 2 and 1 is a really nice kind of bedroom volume. It's really, really cool. Got no reverb, as John didn't have reverb. You know, his amps didn't have reverb, so there's no point in using reverb. You can do it if you want, it sounds nice, but, you know, I've got it off just to be kind of like, you know, period correct, so to say. Obviously, John did have the Holy Grail, but, you know, it wasn't on all the time, apart from one period. Anyway, but I'm getting carried away with John facts. Presence, and this is where all the brightness of the amps comes from. I've got this on 10. And this just gives me the kind of that high-end sparkle, and I do prefer presence to treble. I think treble can be a bit nasty sometimes. Then I've got the switch here for loose and tight on loose, and I've got the T dynamics all the way up on 100. So clean channel is bypassed, lead channel just again, pre-gain is on 3, low is on 2, mid and high are on 0, post gain, which is the volume, is on 2, reverb is on 0, presence is on 10, set to the loose mode, and 100% on the T dynamics, and it just gives that bitey John kind of clean. That sound. nice. It's a pretty good approximation of John's sound. I say we're never going to get it 100% because we're not John Frusciante, but we can approximate. And it sounds really close to me. It sounds close in the room. Hopefully, it'll translate over to you lovely people out there in YouTube land. It kind of covers all the eras, so to say. Maybe not Mother's Milk. Mother's Milk tone is a totally different sound, which I'll get to one day. But it's a totally different sound to Californication, by the way, and Stadium Arcadium. So, pedal-wise today, I've got a different pedal board, and I'll show you in a video very soon. But basically, I'm not using anything but the Ibanez Wah and the DS2. In line, though, I do have a Zoom pedal, which is bypassed, nothing's on. I've got a Marshall Governor pedal, again, not on. A Jackhammer by Marshall, that's not on. And I've also got the Green Carrot Pedals Talking Chive pedal. Or Chive Talking pedal. I forget which way around it is. But I'm just using the DS2 and the Ibanez Wah. And the Ibanez Wah, we all know and love what that thing does. So, and that's all the way up on 10. That's the kind of a preamp all the way on 10. The DS2, through this amp, gives you that early 1999-2000 John lead tone. I don't know why, but through this amp, it just sounds like John, like, when he first came back. It has this real kind of mid-rangey, almost violin-y kind of sound. It's very strange, but it's really nice. Bridge pickup, it's a bit more bitey. Beastly basically. But it gives you that real kind of early 1999 tone, which is really, really cool, and I love that. That's kind of my favourite period for John, so I'm quite happy about that. But it does kind of do all bases. Easy. Mistakes are us. Really, to me it sounds a good approximation. I mean, like I say, the hardest part of emulating John is the fact you're never going to hear 3 microphones and 2 amplifiers, basically. So you're kind of trying to emulate that sound, and I feel that's really, really, really close. So I hope this helps anybody who wants the John sound out of the Bandit. I say, it's always... sorry about that, camera turned itself off. Technical difficulties, demons or ghosts in the machines. Anyway, moving along. What was I saying? Yeah, just to recap, it's always best to use lead channels or overdrive pedals really to get a good approximation of John's kind of sound, because as we all know, it's not as clean as it's made out to be. Which is what gives it so much kind of like oomph and power. So just to recap again, lead channel on the Bandit, got pre-gain at 3, low is on 2, but you can turn the low, if it sounds a bit too bassy for you, for yourself, turn it down, and obviously, if it sounds a bit thin, turn it up a smidgen, but don't go crazy. I've got it on 2, it just seems to be the best place for it to be in this room. Anything above 2 sounds a bit flubby, and below that it sounds a little bit too thin, and not quite as fat as John's kind of sound. So that's the low. Mid and high both on 0. Post gain I've got on 2. Reverb is on 0. I don't know why that's up. Presence is on 10. Resonance is on the loose setting, so switch up, and the T dynamics is up on 10. Oh yeah, reverb was up just because you can kind of do really nice kind of things like that. It really works nicely for those kind of moments, atmospheric moments. Or you can even use it for Californication. It sounds quite... I always thought reverb sounds really nice in Californication. Yeah, quite cool. So you can always use reverb as and when you feel you need to. But yeah, that's the EQ I've got. I can't 100% say these settings will work for you, but hopefully it'll get you off on the right foot, just to kind of like, you know, to tweak and however, tweak to your will, so to say. So anyway, that's John's sound at the Peavey Bandit Red Stripe. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll see you again for another one very soon. I'll see you for Q&A Wednesday on Wednesday. Oh, I'm a genius, me. Whoa. Whoa, watch out, Stephen Hawking. Whoa, there's a brain coming to get you. Anyway, moving along. Yes, have a great morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll see you again. It's the heat. I'm not very good with heat. I'll see you again. Have a great morning, afternoon, and evening. Already said that. Goodbye. I'm losing my mind.